Good weekend, all. Ira Epstein with your metal market wrap-up, and this is your weekly edition for this Friday, the 31st of May, 2024. And what a week it is. Wow. Well, the gold market down $20 today, silver down over $1. The copper came down. Now, all of these markets rallied back in the last hour of trading today. So something you want to look at, like I remember copper was closer to 463 than down here. But everything's been under pressure. And part of that is what's going to happen with interest rates. What's the Fed going to do? What's the European Central Bank going to do? These are not misquotes. I know in the last hour of trading, I was in my yard. At 1:30, I said, okay, I'm going to take a break the rest of the day. There's nothing I want to do, and I don't want to get in trouble, right? So I went into the yard. My wife had laid out some projects she wanted me to do, and away I go, and I'm doing it. So I come back in, and it's about 3 o'clock just in front of it, and I look at the market. I go, what the heck just happened? You were nothing like this. I'm sure if you put up a 15-minute bar chart, you must have seen these markets just take off to the moon. Very interesting what took place. In the currency markets, we're spinning our wheels right now as the market's trying to figure out what to do. European Central Bank this week is due to cut interest rates. We will see what the Bank of Canada wants to do. It can go either way there. We go into the blackout period. So now we're going to hear from no Fed members as now we go quiet in front of our Fed meeting, which is just down the road. So you've got to pay attention to that. You were down a bit in the energy markets today. OPEC meets this Sunday. We'll find out where they're at. Bonds and notes, well, they gave up the best rallies of the day, but the market was still there. And as usual, you have craziness in the grains at this time of the year. You come in on Sunday night, and depending what the weather did, you're up or down. And that's how it is right now in that market. So in the gold market, to me, this is still a very bullish situation. This is the monthly chart, and you're still closed up nearly 1% for the month. So I don't see anything bearish looking there. When I take a look at the weekly close-only chart, well, I can see the correction that's set in, 0.5 percentage point. And at any point, you might want to fall back to wherever this 18-week average is. Now, that average is moving. Right now, it's at 22.28. The week before it was 22.11, and the week before 21.94. So let's say it's moving 14, 15 points at a time. So it's probably going to come into the 2240s is where I think it's going to end up. When we look at a weekly bar chart, you can see the pattern down, then up, and you put on the swing line, you're still bullish. You still have a pattern of higher lows and higher highs. Trend lines are important. Some people don't realize that this is a trend line. And you're so used to drawing from a bottom here and you want to intersect there. It's not the only way to draw trend lines. And trend lines, you're looking sometimes within them to tell you is a trended place. Not what's the channel of the trend, what would break the trend. Well, what would break this trend is very easy. 22.85.10, right under that low of 22.85.20 would break it. Where's the support? Well, right now it's 22.79, but we know it's going to be in the 22.40 level. But to get there, you'd have to break through this 22.85, which would take you out of the uptrend. So there's things I don't want the market to do. When I look at the market, it's caught in the Bollinger Band. It ran it. And this is called running the Bollinger Band, the Gorilla Glue trade. And I say the Gorilla Glue because got a Home Depot, and one of the strongest glues you can buy in there is Gorilla Glue. And I know Flex Seal will tell you put on a drop of it and you can pick up thousands of pounds, and they want you to stand under it. You stand under it. I'm not going to. It's right through here. It ran it. And when that happens, you typically, when you move to the side from that, you go into a bit of a consolidation. It's one thing to hit the band and break back. That's not what this was. This was running the band. You got to learn the difference. And I teach all that, by the way, in my charting course. And remember, all my courses end their sale today, the 31st. I think it's midnight Chicago time, I'm not certain, is when it's all going to end. Any of my research, any of the courses, just go to the website. It's all there, iraepstein.com. Go under education or go underneath the research. You'll see it. Higher lows, higher highs. And I'm looking at this market and realizing to myself, okay, but you're overbought. You have a market that's lost its bullish way. If we come back here, right here, the numbers are over 80. Numbers are over 80. Numbers are over 80. But all of a sudden, very quietly, that's not the case. So unless this market this week re-embeds, and that means it's got to start shooting up, the odds favor price and the 18-day average are going to try to make a run at each other. In the gold-silver ratio, on the weekly basis, you're still with the silver gaining on it, but the daily is in a corrective mode. When you look at the silver, why do you think it's stopping up here? Look at your Bollinger Band. You're overbought. You don't have an embedded reading. That's why I think you're stopping right there. In the copper, you lost the bullish embedded reading. Now, I haven't yet put out a buy signal in the copper. I am bullish. If you have any question after my report, I am bullish. I thought today that the traders in COPX would get stopped out. They didn't. Miraculously, at the end of the day, everything came back up, and they have actually a small profit going home. But that's where the buy signal was, not yet in the futures. Now, I expect it to come up here. I expect this to work itself off. It's down enough where it'll be very hard to re-embed. So I'm looking for the market to have a correction where the market finds a zone to chop around and now whipsaw back and forth. That's what I think will happen on the daily charts. When we look at, and you can see what it's doing right through there. When we take a look at the platinum, you got up to the upper Bollinger Band. You had cleared all these key averages. Now, a bullish piece of news is happening here. You could easily this week get the 18-day over the 100. It'd be the first crossover we've had. That doesn't mean the market has to go up as that happens, but it's to be paid attention to because this pullback into all this is where I'm looking for support to come in. And in the dollar, I would wait and see on the dollar what the European Central Bank does. But even though I think they're going to cut, I'm more interested in the market reaction. Does cutting the rate make the dollar stronger or weaker on a relative basis? I can make both arguments, and I do if you go to the financial update. I won't do it again here. Don't want to do that to you. Now, one of the things that we do have that I want you to pay attention to is right here, our guide to technical indicators. And if you use price charts like I do, there's many types. You're seeing me use area charts of closes right here. There's candlestick charts. There's the bar chart itself. There's pie charts. You can do many different types. And they're all described here for you. Then what you want to do with that is you want to see chart patterns. And I talk about them regularly. Even on the Bollinger Band, they make the patterns. Trend lines. I use the swing line. But the traditional ways, they're going to tell you how you start looking in channels and so on, and that's fine. You've got to learn all this. The next thing we want to do, by the way, these are all PDF that'll be sent to you. There'll be 2 of these in there. In the oscillators, slow stochastics, but there's RSI, there's MACD. Some traders like market sentiment. I'll show you what the basics are. Then your Dow, the Elliott, the Fibonacci, and the Gann studies. Those are the cycles. A lot of magic involved in those. I'm not a cycle trader. I took many, many years ago a great cycle course with Walt Bressert. I don't know how many of you know who he was. I think it was Commodity Cycles. And Walt was a fabulous guy. And he's not around anymore, but he was terrific. And I learned from him. And then I learned in this, especially Gann. I shared an office with one of the top people in the country in Gann. And she tried to teach it to me, and I realized I'm inept at it because to me, I'm more, it's got to do this or that, and that's not what they quite do. Option primers, very important. Money management. I don't care how good you are. If you can't manage the money, know where to have a stop or what kind of trade you're putting on, you got a problem. So it's all there for you free. All you got to do is go to our website, free offers. You can choose from a host of different things. Move your cursor to the top here. You can work with that way too. I'm Ira Epstein. You have yourself a great weekend. By the way, remember, if you want to take advantage of the sale, it goes, I think, until midnight tonight. Now my IT staff is telling me. I'm Ira. You take care.